signs in the sun, moon, and stars. Here we are, family, back on Stellarium, hunting the signs. Found some interesting things, and I wanted to share it with the family. Let's dig deeper. First thing that I noticed, let's pull up the time. Tomorrow, 8:50 a.m. This is calculated here from Portland. We're looking at the alignment of Venus with the stars that are in the constellation Gemini, and this is aligning with Pollux. Now, for those of you, let's scroll out a little bit and we can show you here. For those of you who know the Mazzaroth, then you already know this, but this is a dual-natured sign. There's two. It's the only constellation with two differing signs within a sign. And so we're going to go to the heavens proclaim in a minute, but we're going to just do a basic breakdown. We see Pollux is essentially the heavenly view of Messiah, and Castor is the physical view of Messiah, the man who came to earth, where Pollux is considered like the king, and Castor is considered like the suffering servant. And this alignment with Venus and Pollux, it's aligning here with the stars. And what I mean by that is, just because it comes into the constellation doesn't necessarily mean anything. It has to have star alignment. And for those of you who have done your research into this Mazzaroth stuff, that's why it's not just a constellation thing. There has to be alignments with sometimes ecliptic or meridian, or it has to have an alignment with the actual star configuration and not just entering into a random place within the so-called constellation. Because there's many different artworks that are depicted for each of these what we call houses, and they all differ. And so when we want to go back to the pure, we just look at the actual alignment of the stars. And so that's what we're doing today, is we're taking a deeper look into Pollux and how the Venus alignment tomorrow in the morning is showing us a sign. And so let's go ahead and go here to the heavens proclaim, and we see here it says the 10th zodiac constellation is Gemini, the twins, with one usually being considered immortal and the other mortal. The immortal, the one who comes at the second coming, is the same as the mortal Son of Man who came at the first coming. So Gemini symbolizes the dual nature of Messiah, that Jesus Christ is both fully God and fully human, suffering servant and conquering king. And so when we go back here and we look at this alignment that's happening tomorrow, we see that Venus is aligning with the conquering king. And on last video, we just talked about Jupiter, the representation of Messiah also, is about to stop in the constellation of Aquarius to pour out the water or the spirit. And these are working together within the Mazzaroth to tell us a story about what's happening in our time right now. And there's many of us that are waiting for a transformation. We're waiting for the escape, and we're looking into the heavens and into the scriptures for these signs, and they're showing us the story, and all we have to do is follow the storyline, and it ends up telling us more if we continue to follow the storyline. Sometimes scripture alone can lead a lot of that's unknown, and when you use both of these together, it helps to clear up the unknown, because stars have a language of their own. And so what we're looking at here is this Venus alignment before the Jupiter standing still in Aquarius are all leading us to look at what's happening. So we talked about the sun, and how the sun is also going to be in the center of the Silver Gate, and Venus coming into alignment here with Pollux, and Jupiter in Gemini. These are all three witnesses of the storyline that we're looking at something big about to go down. And so as I dug a little deeper, I saw something happening here with Venus that I've been watching for a while, and it doesn't happen very often. And so I got very excited because I haven't been on Stellarium in like a month, and I was having withdrawals. It's really like a withdrawal thing once you really get deep into this. It's fun work, it's exciting, and it can lead you to a lot more understanding of the scriptures that you're reading, especially once you know foundationally this story. It's not what mainstream makes it out to be with astrology. This really is the greatest story ever told, and it's the story of our redemption and the story of our King. And when you really do the research, it's just exciting. And so we're going to get into the exciting part. It looks as though with all these other alignments of the sun and the Silver Gate, and Venus here tomorrow morning aligning with Pollux, and Jupiter also on the 20th or the 21st, it's right in that zone. It's basically the same time as the sun enters the Silver Gate, the center of the Silver Gate. We see this Venus heading towards the constellation of Cancer. And within the constellation of Cancer is Praesepe. And, I may be saying it incorrectly, but this cluster of stars, we're going to go ahead and click into that. Let's see if we can. Seem to be frozen up here. Here we go. Okay, so for those of you who have been with me for a while, we've talked about this many times, and it always seems to be coming back into focus somehow, some way. And my eyes are always looking to this beehive cluster. And the reason is if once you do your Mazzaroth research, you'll find that this is actually what they consider the manger, and it's also considered to be the place where all of the harvesting is done. This when the animals were brought in at night, they all went into a safe haven, and this is a picture of that being brought, the animals being brought into the safe haven. It's also a picture of a place of safety. It's also a picture of a harvest where the grains are brought in. It's also a picture of like a shield. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at how Venus going from Gemini tomorrow morning, aligning with Pollux, which is this the conquering king. So we want to look at it in this manner, because we know Venus, being the bright and morning star, is a representation of Messiah, and when it aligns with this constellation in this way at the same time that Jupiter, because Jupiter is known as the king, and it's not something that is a secondary title. So when we see Venus aligning with Pollux, and in the Mazzaroth data, there's many things pointing to Pollux as the conquering king, then we're seeing a message, and let's see what happens with this message, because Venus is transiting into Praesepe, and we want to look at these dates, and we want to see how this gives us more information about what's happening. So let's watch Venus transit from Gemini to Cancer and enter the constellation Center, which is Praesepe, or the Beehive cluster, or we'll just call it the manger. So Venus is going to enter into the manger, and let's watch this happen. Okay, so we're on 6/18 here, and this alignment happens at 8:50 a.m. This is Portland time, so adjust wherever you are. If you want to look at this time based on Jerusalem time, then you can just adjust the time. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll in for us so everybody can see this a little easier. Now we can see how on the 26th, let's go back over here. Let's scroll over here really quick just to take a quick look. Okay, so we're seeing, let's go back a day. We're seeing Mars. I had not checked this yet, so we're going to go do this really fast. I'm glad that I caught this. Okay, here we go, fam. This is another sign that I'm just catching. as I'm doing this research, we have we have Mars transiting through Praesepe also. And Mars also has multiple ways of looking at Mars. We'll put it to you that way. It has multiple faces. There's multiple ways to look at Mars, and one of those ways is the Archangel Michael. Mars is associated with war, and Michael is considered the warrior angel. And there's other ways to look at Mars also, but you know, many people think Mars has this evil side, but there's lots of research that talks about it being a representation of Michael from a Mazzaroth perspective. So we're looking at Michael, the archangel, transiting through. Let's go back here. Okay, so the 20s, 3 days. Michael goes through the Beehive cluster, or the MANGER. And this is really awesome because as Mars is exiting, Venus is heading in that same direction. And I don't know how long it's been since I've seen Mars go through Praesepe. It's been a long time. I've seen Venus do it before, but it was like right on the edge. This time, Venus is going right through the middle, just like Mars did. And so we're seeing a sign. So let's watch as now Venus whoa. We have Meridian coming right there, and it shifted the entire constellation. So we have Venus coming into Praesepe. And it looks at essentially it's about noontime. Let's get in a little closer just to make sure you've got this. That's not going to let me do that. It looks like we're talking about approximately noon on the 2nd. And Venus is in there for a little over a full day. And we're looking at Venus exiting just before she's out there, so about 9 p.m. here in Portland on the 3rd, right before the 4th of July. And we can see how Mars is still in the constellation of Cancer. And this is a great storyline. I'm going to take a quick look and see if there's anything else that I noticed. We've already talked about Jupiter. So if you look around, you'll see that this is the only thing that's going on besides the stuff that we already talked about in the last video. So we have Venus and Mars about to enter into Praesepe, which is the manger, and this is leading us to where we see the king entering into the manger. And for those of you who have been watching the stars and the heavens since the Revelation 12 sign in 2017, we can see a culmination of a story. It's a birth, it's also a marriage, and it's also a story of the angels and the host of heaven being there as witnesses. Because I see Mars as like a witness that's sent to Praesepe before the king arrives to tell all of what we'll just call them the virgins that are in the waiting room that the king's coming. The king's coming. The king is coming. And then the conquering king enters and is there for a day to bless us. And it's like a marriage story. We can see how this is like a party that's going down in Praesepe, the Beehive cluster. And I hope this excites you as much as it does me. This story just continues to get deeper, and we continue to look into the heavens for more details of our escape, and the heavens never let us down. They're leading us to the door. So get into your prayer closets and pray for the Spirit to be poured out and for your heart to get prepared for the great wedding feast.